My name is Chloe Cooper and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll be sharing with you some stuff that people may not like, but it might help people in the future. So I'll be talking about my experience in the psych ward. It was probably 3 years ago now, I think. Don't cut me on that. Yeah, so if you are willing to watch the rest of the video, I don't know how long it's going to be, but if you're willing to watch it, keep on watching. This is a very trigger warning video. So first of all, in this video, I'll be going through the reason why I got into the psych ward, how I got there, how long I had to wait to go into the ward, what happened in that time of waiting, the restrictions, how long I was in the ward for. Yeah, it was definitely an experience. So first of all, this whole experience for me was very eye-opening. It really did. Yeah, I was only 20. I think I was 20 years old when I went in there. So first of all, the reason why I got put into the psych ward was because I was actually on a phone call with one of those people that help you. I'll put something here or here of what the ones that I called at the time. I was suicidal. I did have a plan as well. And I was talking to a person, and that person actually called an ambulance for me. Yeah, this was at like 1 o'clock in the morning, mind you. Everyone was asleep. Once the person that was on the phone call to me called an ambulance, it didn't take long at all until the ambulance came. I was not expecting this next part. Police actually came first. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. They came first, and then not too long later, the ambulance. I heard ambulance sirens. I don't really remember much at the time, but because this one was probably the worst one. I remember, well, not really remember, but you know. So I had to wake up my family, or my mum and my dad, at the time, and they didn't believe me that I had stuff like those thoughts. But soon they learned that it was real. I was feeling that way. So when the police came, they made sure they had to restrict me. Obviously, I wasn't like the worst people they had to deal with, but they had to stop me from hurting myself, because at that time I also, you know, so they had to restrict me from that. And then the ambulance came and they had to take all these things that they usually do, my heart rate, all that stuff, and asked me these questions, and then I said, can I not answer them here, because I don't really like talking about it with my family around. We went into the ambulance, and they asked me all these questions that I've never had to really answer before, because I've never been to hospital before for my mental health. Yeah, they told me that I had to go to the hospital under, like, I couldn't say no. I was restricted to everything. So if I tried to run away, they had to stop me. The police would have to stop me there to follow. Yeah, it was a long, slow way to get to the hospital as well. It took like half an hour to get to the hospital. That was the closest one. So getting there, when I got there, yeah, I had to go straight into the place where you usually go once you get an ambulance. At the time, even though it was like at 2 o'clock in the morning, by the time I got there, there was a lot of people. At the time, it was COVID. COVID was bad back then. Waiting when you're not feeling great mentally is pretty crap. I had to stand as there was a whole lot of people. I had to wait hours upon hours. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning. They had to switch the people that were in, like, my people who picked me up from my home. And finally, probably like at 8:30, 9 o'clock, they put me into an area which wasn't the ward yet, for people who are mentally ill, and I had to get everything taken off me. I had to wait even longer into this area where people were mentally ill, taking everything from me. Even my phone was taken off me. I couldn't call anyone or anything. Sorry, this is hard to talk about. There was cameras looking all around you. There's nurses in a separate area, locked, so you couldn't get in. So I had to wait a few more hours to be even spoken to before you get put into the ward, or even they just send you home, which I've had many times. But this time obviously was different. Yeah, and I got put into a separate room, got asked all these questions that I got asked in the ambulance. So that talking into that room, asking all these questions, are very triggering, but I guess they have to ask it, thinking now. It took probably like up to an hour asking me all these questions, why I'm at the hospital. And then after I got all these questions, I had to wait another few hours, and then they told me that I am going into the ward. Don't know for how long. There's 2 ways you can be put in, I think, to be like a patient. You could be an inpatient, which I was, and an outpatient. I know I'm in a different clothes, but this is a different day. Okay. Now that I got admitted, I couldn't walk to the ward because, it wasn't good. But the security had to take me. It was either 1 or 2, but only 1 took me. I got took to the both men and women one. There's 3 of them. The men and women, just the women, and the men's one. So I stayed at the men and women one for overnight, and then the next day I got taken to the women, which soon enough, I stayed there for 2 weeks. Yep, 2 weeks. You had a roommate when you got to the ward. My first roommate was a man, which I thought was a bit not great because, you know, men and women. I didn't feel comfortable at all. I went and asked to change, but I didn't do anything that day, so they had to wait until the next day. So as you know, I changed the women the next day. The room is very wide open. Couldn't close the door at night time. Cameras in the room. You didn't feel you just didn't feel comfortable. After probably 8 days, maybe I felt a bit comfortable because I got used to it, but you know, there was a routine. Every day you had to get up at a certain time. They wake you up. I think it was 6:30 or 7 o'clock. They had breakfast. They gave you medication if you take any medications. And then you get dressed, have a shower if you want to. So the shower was very different. It was hard to turn on. It only was on for a certain amount of time. Yeah, I guess it's all to do with safety stuff. The door had to be open, which I felt very uncomfortable with, but I guess that's safety for you. But no one couldn't be in the room besides me. Oh, there is a button though if you feel unsafe. There's a button if something bad happened, you press it. So now you had a shower, maybe you got dressed. Sometimes there's an outside area, but most of the time that I was there, it was raining. Great raining. Yeah, so some days you can do some crafting. Also, there wasn't really much to do. I just sat down, did nothing most of the time, didn't really speak to many people besides the person that was in my room. Usually there's therapy stuff, like group therapy, but I didn't really get into it. But you had to speak to a psychologist nearly every day. So now that I was speaking to the psychologists, I spoke to 2 of them, and then they told me that I got borderline personality disorder. I will link that one up here or something, of my mental health history video. Yeah, that's when I knew I had it. The food at the place wasn't that bad. At first, I rarely ate because I'm not used to the food. But after a while, it was alright. I dealt with it. There was also a curfew. I had to be in bed by a certain time, probably at 9 o'clock. Had to be in your room. Yeah, which is hard for me. I go to sleep. I go to bed at 12. Back then I did. It was bad. Went to sleep at 2 a.m. Went to bed at 12. All my stuff that I brought in with me to the hospital. Yeah, my name was all my stuff. phone had name, all my name on it, jackets, everything. I even had like my Apple Watch, and I couldn't even have that on. They were that strict. With all my stuff that was taken away from me, only stuff that was safe could give back. They could give back to me after a while. So my phone, I couldn't charge it myself. Had to be charged in the nurse's area. That was fun. I could only have it for a certain amount of time. There was visiting hours. They were strict with that. They were strict with that as well. Weekends, it was longer because most people have weekends off. But during the week it was only a small amount. I didn't really want anyone to visit me. So breakfast at 7, lunch at like 12:30, and dinner at 6:30. Yeah, if you don't end up coming, sometimes depending on the nurses, they either bring it to you in your room or you don't have it at all. Yeah. Also with the food, if you are hungry during the day, there is a area where you can get food, but you have to pay for it in one of those fridges. Put a bit of money in and you get stuff out. But there is water out of those things where you press it and you take it out. You drink out of it. Most of the time I was just walking around. It was a pretty big area. It's like that, I guess. I just kept on walking around, and when it wasn't raining I went outside. And other than that, I just sat down in my room while there's seats. I just sat in. Yeah. But towards the end I played games. The last thing I'm going to tell you is I've been to hospital for my mental health. In that year, it was 2021, so 21. Yes. That year I had a lot. I went to hospital a lot. They kind of got annoyed, really. I went to that ward twice. So that first one, and probably the year after, I went into the ward. So I hope you learnt something. If you are in that bad stage, at least you now know what it's going to be like a bit. It is different in different hospitals, but I guess that's my experience. Yeah, I know this is a long video, trust me. I actually had a seizure in the middle of having this, so I am glad this video is over. Never again to talk about this. Give it a like, comment and subscribe to my channel. See you in my next video.